If you're doing 20 sets of squats, but you're not moving more weight, to me, you're not training harder.
What's up? 筋肉翻訳です。さあ今日は絶対にでかくならない追い込んだ気になっているだけのトレーニング見ていきましょう。筋トレハードに追い込んでいますか？何時間トレーニングをしていますか？追い込むことが筋トレの美学とされていますよね。でもその追い込むについて掘り下げてみたことはありますか？どれだけ長く行っているか、それだけが指標になってはいませんか？今回はクリスチャンさんがそのことについて掘り下げてくれています。どんなことが追い込むという意味なのでしょうか？早速見ていきましょう。どうぞ。
It's funny because I train in a few commercial gyms. One is just around the corner of my house. And of course, when I'm traveling, I train where I can train. And because I'm in decent shape, for some reason, people have the need to come up to me and tell me their workout. Like this morning, was actually, yesterday morning I was training at a gym, and this old guy, which is a very nice person, said, well, you know, I did 3 sets of four exercises for chest. Then I did 4 sets of 3 exercises for biceps. So it's funny because, and another guy does the exact same thing. They tell me how many exercises and how many sets they're doing. They don't mention the exercises. They don't mention training techniques, tempo, stuff like that. In their mind, how much they're doing shows how hard they're training. People equate the amount of work they're doing in the gym with how hard they're training. It's not really related. Okay? Training a lot is not training hard. Training hard is training hard. Training hard is, well, it depends on the type of exercises you're doing. When you're doing the big basic lifts, training hard for me means always trying, or as much as possible, to add more weight to the bar, becoming gradually stronger and stronger and stronger on the big basic lifts. If you're doing 20 sets of squats, but you're not moving more weight, to me, you're not training harder. Training harder on the big basic lifts, to me, it's either lifting better, so dominating a weight more, using better technique, or adding more weight to the bar. To me, that's training harder on the big basic lifts. When I'm using isolation work or bodybuilding work, training hard for me means reaching a point closer to failure or past failure. Going to failure is training harder than stopping 2 reps short. I don't use that scale for the big compound movements because big compound movements that have a higher neurological demands. Training to failure or past failure is not recommended. It will burn the nervous system too much. Training hard on the big basic lift is doing everything possible to improve performance. It's not doing more sets. It's doing better sets, moving more weight. Training harder on the isolated exercise or machine work is reaching a point closer to failure or past failure, putting more effort in the sets you're doing. If you can do 20 sets of isolation for a muscle, to me it tells me you're not training hard enough on those sets. Because if you're training really, really fucking hard, then you just can't handle doing 20 sets of even isolation work. You will either mentally crash before you lose your pump. It's not how many sets, it's how hard you do the sets you're doing. Dorian Yates did 1 work set per exercise. Nobody trained harder than he did in bodybuilding. He would take each set, he would juice that set for as hard, as much as possible. That's working hard. Working a lot simply means you're doing more work and more work and more work. And as we saw earlier, you have a limited amount of training money you can spend. Every time you do a set, spending money. A set, spending money. So if you're not doing these sets hard, you're not triggering maximum growth and adaptation, you're basically wasting your money, just requiring more adaptation energy. Training hard actually means that you can't do as many sets. Because the harder you do your sets, the harder you push, the more demanding those sets are, the least volume you can do. I'm not saying that you can't do a decent amount of volume, but if you can do a ton of volume, dude, I did 60 fucking sets today. Well, you probably didn't train that hard, bro, right? Okay, there's an inverse relationship here, okay? So training hard is not training a lot. Should differentiate both.
さあ、いかがでしたでしょうか。何十セットを行っていても限界まで追い込んでいなければでかくなるためのスイッチは入らないとのことでした。もちろん筋トレを始めたばかりの人は筋トレを何年も続けている人のようには追い込めないんですよね。なのでできるだけ短くなるように力も入らない状態に持っていくことができるかどうかということではないでしょうか。もちろん1セットで追い込まなくてもセットを重ねることで力が入らない状態になることはあります。でもそれは刺激の方向性が違うので筋肥大にはつながりにくいということですね。みんなは何セットぐらいが基本ですか？コメント欄で教えてください。僕は最近20セットほどを目標にしています。でもトレーニングをやりすぎていた時は1セットで追い込みきれず結果的にグダグダ長く筋トレをしている時期がありました。最後まで見ていただいてありがとうございます。セカンドチャンネルのオカザーマンチャンネルでは実際に僕が海外からの様子をお届けします。概要欄からリンク見てみてください。ではまた。Don't hesitate to call me back, 'cause I won't be